I want to start with talking about how we developed the curriculum for this training. Yes, indeed, AFT has significant expertise around soil health. It is a lot about a lot of the work that we do around the country, but we felt that we needed input and expertise from others in the farmland protection arena. So we convened a national advisory committee of staff from land trusts, from county farmland preservation boards, from state departments of agriculture, additional NRCS staff, both Lisa McCauley from the Easement Program Division and Candy Thomas from the Soil Health Division, as well as a few other soil health service providers. So some committee members came with a great deal of knowledge around soil health and already doing programming in this area, but others were just beginning to dip their operational toe into how to promote soil health with farmers and landowners. So we had several great discussions about opportunities and sensitivities for farmland protection practitioners who really want to do more to promote soil health. And we identified resources, information, and skills that we felt would be important for farmland protection entities to expand their work in this area. These discussions were also super helpful in creating the organizational structure for this training. And that is loosely organized around what we call touch points. So touch points being the different ways that land trusts and public PACE programs interact with farmers and landowners, and how each of these types of interactions can be used to engage landowners around soil health. So here you see what we refer to as touch points, and these are obvious. These are many of the ways that we all engage with farmers and landowners, but I want to talk about them in turn. So we see opportunities with each of these touch points. So when you look, for instance, on the easement acquisition and donation front, as more land trusts and public farmland protection programs look to integrate soil health and climate resiliency into their farmland protection work, they have an opportunity to proactively engage landowners who might be selling or donating an easement, and to talk about soil health from the get-go. For many folks, this has not been the way that they've done business before, and it is a touch point that we think more can be done on that front. There's also an opportunity to make more strategic use potentially of conservation or management plans as a way to maintain that engagement once you've either purchased the easement or the easement has been donated, to keep that engagement going with landowners through the stewardship process. So let's go to the second touch point, which is around easement monitoring and stewardship. So obviously, perpetuity is a very long time. So easement monitoring offers a tremendous potential for engaging both current landowners and future landowners around soil health. This engagement is going to look very different for every entity, but every entity ought to be able to develop at least some core capacity to help connect landowners to resources that can help them improve soil health. And then lastly, there are almost infinite opportunities to engage farmers and landowners completely outside of the easement process. In fact, some folks in the advisory committee meetings talked about how it was easier for them to expand their work around soil health outside of tying it to their land protection work. In one of our advisory committee meetings, Tyler Miller from the Vermont Land Trust referred to this work as untethered. And as you can see, it stuck. We think it's a good way of thinking about it. So how are these reflected in the way that we've set up the agenda? So I just want to talk through the agenda. Today, we are all about the basics of soil health. Our next 2 sessions are focused, as you can see, on basics, benefits, practices, and barriers to soil health. We are extraordinarily lucky to have 2 exceptional national directors who will be leading this part of the training. The first, as Carrie mentioned, is Dr. Bianca Mobius Clune, who is our new National Climate Initiative Director. Bianca, as you heard, comes to us from NRCS, where she was the founding director of the Soil Health Division. So we have a true national expert on soil health. The second is another national expert, Dr. Michelle Perez, who leads our AFT National Water Initiative. And Michelle is a nationally recognized expert on outcomes quantification. So she is going to be with her team leading session 3. The last session of today is yet another superstar in the AFT portfolio. She is our director of our Women for the Land National Initiative, Dr. Gabrielle Roche McNally. And Gabrielle is a social scientist, and she has a terrific session planned at the end of today around working with diverse landowners and operators. So that's today. Today is the Soil Health Day, and we hope that everybody comes away being much more comfortable and articulate in thinking about soil health. Tomorrow, we start with a review. This is, you're going to have to be up bright and early and be ready to talk, because we are going to practice our new soil health knowledge in some communication skills practices. We'll then give you a choice between 2 sessions. Those are the ones that Beth referred to at the beginning, both of which are focused on tools that are valuable in promoting health. So you can choose between doing a deep dive into soil health assessments or doing a deep dive into understanding how to use Comet Planner. From there, we're going to roll up our sleeves and dive into the touch points further. In session 8, we'll talk about using conservation and management plans as a vehicle for engaging around soil health, both proactively in new easements and as part of stewardship of existing easements. In that session, we're also going to have someone who is going to talk us through how leases can be used to incentivize and encourage conservation practice adoption. So that's thinking about how we give the tools to non-operating landowners to help them work with their tenants on conservation practice adoption. In session 9, you can see it's engaging landowners and operators. This is actually a communications session. We are going to, again, this is going to be very interactive. We're going to practice how we communicate directly with farmers and how to have some conversations and understand more about where they are coming from and thinking about soil health. And session 10 is focused on building connections to the resources available around soil health in your state. These sessions are going to be state specific, and we have invited into each session a number of staff from NRCS state offices to talk through both financial and technical resources. We've invited staff from state agencies that play a role in thinking about soil health, and we've invited some key state soil health partners. So these should be great sessions. Again, they're state specific. That's the end of the day on Thursday. And they are really intended to be more of a discussion than presentation. For those who still have energy tomorrow afternoon and want to talk about soil health or farmland protection or about tomatoes or what you're going to cook for supper, we have a happy hour. Beth and I will be there. I will be there with a beer. And we look forward to having any of you who want to join us for that very informal, very optional. So then on Friday, we're just digging into that last touch point, especially. In session 11, we are going to focus on ecosystem service markets and how to help guide interested landowners in thinking about them. And in session 12, we're going to look at some of the ways that land trusts are helping to finance or connect landowners with financing for conservation practices aimed at improving soil health. And that takes us to the last session on Friday. We're going to wrap up with a discussion around the soil health action plan that every entity will be developing and ways that AFT is going to continue to support you as you expand your soil health engagement. So that's a lot. It's a lot of days of talking together. We can do it.